Hey guys, Booligan here with Booligan Shooting Sports, taking a look at this updated AR-based firearm build. You may not recognize this thing from the last time you saw it. The last time you saw it, it was all black, but this big extended magazine might give it away. This is the 410 bore custom firearm that I built. So again, to recap kind of the legalities and technicalities of this build, it started with a Virgin PSA lower receiver, strip lower. I put just standard Anderson lower parts kit in it, this awesome Reptilia grip, which really deserves its own video. This thing is my favorite grip for short length of pull type firearms. And a Shockwave Blade 2.0 pistol brace. I like it because it is adjustable for length of pull without needing any tools, while still meeting all of the various ATF requirements for actually being a brace and not a stock. Because again, this is not, well, it's not a pistol either. It's just not a rifle or a shotgun. So the lower is pretty basic stuff. Again, just the important part is that it started with a Virgin lower receiver that was not previously built as a pistol or a rifle or anything else. It has only been built in this configuration. Up top, you have a IFC 410 bore, smooth bore upper. Kind of an interesting little setup. Normally you would use this with a stock. It has a long barrel and use it as a shotgun, but I built this specifically again as a firearm, meeting the same type of legal description as a like Mossberg Shockwave or Kalashnikov Comrade or something along those lines. So the upper, the barrel has been shortened from 18.5 inches down to about 12 inches or so in order to maintain from the muzzle, not from the flash hider, but from the muzzle to the back of the buffer tube. Used to be to the back of the brace, but ATF changed their mind on that. So the measurement now goes from the end of the buffer tube to the end of the muzzle. As long as it remains over 26 inches, the barrel length is irrespective for this whole build. But I could talk for quite a while about the legalities like this, but that's not the purpose of this video. The purpose of this video is to show the fantastic handiwork. As you can see clearly, this is not a normal plain Jane black AR anymore. This was done up with a very awesome desert, urban pattern, but desert colored Cerakote job through Sheffield Tactical. I'm gonna have a link to their Facebook page. They actually don't have a website from what I saw. They have a Facebook page, which is great for getting in contact with them to possibly commission a custom Cerakote job like this, or whatever would fit your environment. But I really, really love how this thing turned out. A little bit about what he did. He was able to get the muzzle threaded. That was the one thing that I was kind of stuck on, is that I wanted to have it threaded metric 16x1 so that I could use ATI's externally threaded chokes as well as the included flash hider that came with the setup to begin with. But I was having a heck of a time finding somebody who would thread that down. Thankfully, he was able to get that done for me as part of this build. The Cerakote job that he does is thorough, to say the least. I sent him the firearm all stripped out, and he kind of did the rest. Each individual component is slicked up, is cleaned up, and is then Cerakoted with a finish that has increased lubricity, decreased friction, without really needing a ton of lubricant. So the barrel was done in that, the gas piston system, the bolt carrier group, kick my camera there, the bolt carrier group, you can see just how smooth and slick that is. Really, really like how this thing turned out, and every function check on it seems to go much, much smoother. Now I had previously tested this before threading the barrel with the short barrel setup, and it cycles fine with pretty much any slugs, with most self-defense type ammo. So I've run buckshot through this, and I've run the combination that has like a PDX slug, I believe, and then two buckshot balls behind it. Nasty, nasty rounds, things you really would not want to be on the receiving end of. Not like you would really want to be on the receiving end of any round, but especially something like that. The only thing it doesn't necessarily run reliably on is really inexpensive and low velocity birdshot. Now, that's because this version, the IFC upper, only has one gas port on the barrel. My understanding is there's another version out that has 2 gas ports, but it's not the IFC based one. So there are options for building these things. You might need to tweak it a little bit. I'm deciding if I want to set this up to run with cheap birdshot. I've run some birdshot through it in the short barrel configuration, and it runs fine. It's just a little bit more expensive than just the cheap stuff you're going to pick up at Walmart. But yeah, there are a lot of interesting ways to build these. The other 410 uppers that you can build something like this off of is a Charles Daly upper. My understanding in talking with Bob over at Sheffield Tactical was he's messed around with a few of those, is that the machining isn't necessarily as good on those. They're not necessarily as smooth, but they have dual gas ports, so you might get a little bit more reliability out of a wider range of ammunition. But you know, that's up to you whether you want to build one of these things or not. Just keep in mind, I am not an attorney. You may want to consult with one before building something like this. Federally, these are pretty clear-cut in their legality. There's just, you know, local jurisdictions and whatnot. And of course, the ATF can always change their mind on anything. This was built following guidance that they had provided based on several other firearms that are similar in nature and form and in function. But obviously they can apply whatever rules they want at any time. So your mileage may vary, and don't try this at home is what I can always recommend. But again, big thanks over to Sheffield Tactical. Let's take just a quick flyby of this thing. Look how good that Cerakote looks. The colors that he chose, I asked him what colors he chose, and this was sort of a mix and match build. He did not really remember all of the colors that he did on this one, so this is definitely a one-off. They're located in Pennsylvania, I believe, so he's used to very much more greens, not the tans and browns that I need here in Utah, but man, did he really, really nail that. Again, just look at that thing. Looks great in so many different lights, and it seems to be adhering quite well to the polymer components, the grip as well. So many thanks to him, but I would definitely contact him if you're interested either in, a custom build something like this. He is kind of custom building firearms similar to this, so he might be a guy to talk to about picking just one of those up if you don't want to deal with building one yourself. But if you're looking to have your firearm or your airsoft gun even, he is one of the few Cerakoters that is actually 100% good with doing airsoft guns. You have a lot of Cerakoters that don't want to deal with that, even though it's infinitely less paperwork than dealing with real firearms. But again, he's a good guy to talk to. So hit them up on Facebook and see if they could do some custom work for you. I probably am going to be sending a few other firearms to them for some cool custom jobs, because this really, really blew me away. I cannot stress that enough. So what's next for this build? Some more range test videos. In my last video of this thing, we had just like a super brief firing test, just a couple rounds through it, just to show you how it functions, and that it shoots big fireballs out the ejection port. It does that worse now that it has a shorter barrel. But what I want to do is I want to go out and do some proper range testing with this, show you guys how it patterns with those self-defense rounds at standard self-defense ranges. And I would love to have some fun with this, take it out to TNT gun range, to their indoor skeet shooting range, and see how poorly I can do at busting some clay pigeons with it. 410 skeet shooting is extremely challenging, and with something with like a 12-inch barrel, it may be next to impossible, which sounds like just my kind of challenge. So stay tuned. Like I said, gonna have some update videos on this thing in the future, and yeah, enjoy, take it in. I really love this thing. One of my favorite firearms that I built, and I do kind of say that after every firearm that I built. So just stay tuned for my next firearm, which is already in progress. Can never have just one project at a time. So again, thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more videos on this and my many other firearm builds. And again, big thanks to Bob over at Sheffield Tactical for doing an awesome job on this.